The stars had always been Marcus Hale's compass, yet on that night they betrayed him. He stood at the observation deck of the horizon's edge, staring at the empty place where Earth had once gleamed in the dark. 1,000 ships filled the skies of Sol's colonies, broadcasting static confusion, but the truth was undeniable. Earth was gone. Not destroyed, not shattered, gone. The cradle of humanity had slipped from existence, as though it had never been. Marcus gripped the rail until his knuckles whitened. He had trained all his life to lead expeditions to forgotten worlds, yet nothing could prepare him for the sight of a void where his homeworld should have been. His voice cracked when he whispered, "This isn't possible." Dr. Elias Bourne, standing beside him, had no answer. The historian's sharp features were carved into a mask of disbelief, his eyes flicking between sensor readouts and his own shaking hands. He had dedicated decades to studying Earth's fragmented history, to piecing together myths and scraps of knowledge left by centuries of expansion. And now the subject of his life's work had vanished like smoke and wind. "It defies every principle of physics," Elias muttered, his tone trembling between awe and dread. "A world cannot simply cease." The heavy doors hissed open, and Admiral Tyron Cross entered with his stride as rigid as his steel-gray uniform. He had commanded fleets against alien raiders for 30 years and carried the weight of survival etched into every scar on his face. His presence was an anchor in chaos, but his first words were no comfort. "Sensors confirm it. Earth isn't cloaked. It isn't shielded. It's absent. Whatever has taken it is beyond any empire's power." He locked eyes with Marcus, his voice hard. "And every alien rival will see this as weakness. The colonies will fracture without Earth's shadow binding them." Marcus turned from the void, rage simmering under his grief. "Then we hold them together. Humanity will not scatter like sand. We'll find out what happened." Elias shook his head, brushing a hand over the faint stubble on his jaw. "You speak of unity, but the truth is darker. Without Earth, our identity unravels. Half the colonies were already restless. Now, they will devour each other for power." He gestured toward the data streams pouring across the holoscreens, reports of riots, skirmishes, governments collapsing. "We've lost more than a planet. We've lost the heart of our civilization." The room thickened with silence until the ship itself seemed to hold its breath. Marcus felt the weight of history pressing on his shoulders. He wanted to fight, to chase whatever force had stolen Earth, but his instincts warned him. Humanity's enemies would not wait. They would strike before grief could harden into resolve. Tyron's voice cut the silence. "We need fleets ready. Borders fortified. The Zir Dominion has coveted our frontier for centuries. The moment they learn Earth is gone, they'll descend like carrion." He leaned forward, fists resting on the command table. "And we cannot allow that. If Earth has been taken, then something, has power greater than the combined empires. We're prey in a galaxy of predators." Elias bristled, but his tone was subdued. "Not prey. Witnesses. Perhaps Earth has not been taken but moved. There are fragments in the archives, whispers of ancient technologies, of Earth's guardianship in ages past. Legends dismissed as myth. But what if they were warnings?" Marcus's eyes sharpened. Elias's obsession with myths often drew ridicule, but tonight the words held weight. "What are you suggesting?" "That Earth did not vanish by accident. That it has retreated, shielded itself from a threat even we cannot imagine." Elias's voice lowered. "What if Earth was never just a birthplace? What if it was always more?" Tyron scoffed, though unease flickered across his face. "You gamble on fairy tales while our people bleed. I deal in steel and strategy, not riddles." But Marcus lifted a hand, silencing the argument. His gaze returned to the void. He could almost feel the absence like a wound in space, as if the stars themselves recoiled. "We don't have the luxury to dismiss possibilities. If Earth is hidden, we must find it. If it's stolen, we must take it back. Humanity is nothing without its foundation. And I swear, I will bring it home." The vow echoed in the chamber, And for a heartbeat, both men saw him not just as a captain, but as something larger, a leader carrying humanity's fractured hope. Elias straightened, his eyes alight with grim determination. Tyron folded his arms, reluctant yet unwilling to argue further. For weeks that followed, the galaxy roiled in chaos. Colonies bickered, trading alliances for daggers. Alien envoys arrived at human strongholds with smiles too sharp to trust, offering protection that reeked of conquest. Tyron fought to hold the fleets together, striking swift at raiders testing the borders. Elias buried himself in archives, chasing every clue, every whisper of lost technology, desperate to uncover why Earth had disappeared. Marcus spent his nights on the observation deck, staring into the void, haunted by a world that should not be gone. The first tremor of hope came without warning. On the 1000th night since Earth's vanishing, the horizon's edge intercepted a signal. It was faint, fragmented, distorted by centuries of interference, but unmistakably human. 3 simple pulses, repeated endlessly, carrying a resonance that matched Earth's ancient communications grid. Marcus rose from his chair, heart hammering. Where? The officer at the console swallowed hard. Origin point, the Sol system. From the exact coordinates where Earth vanished. Elias nearly stumbled, his voice breaking. After centuries of silence, his eyes shone with something between joy and terror. It calls to us. Tyron's face darkened as the implication struck. Every rival power will hear it too. They will come, Marcus. They'll descend on Sol like wolves to a carcass. If we move, we risk war. If we don't, we risk losing whatever chance this is. Marcus stood tall, the void reflected in his eyes. Then we move before them. Earth has spoken, and we will answer. Let the galaxy come. We will not falter. The signal pulsed again, steady, relentless, like a heartbeat echoing across the dark. For the first time since its disappearance, Earth was not silent. And in that moment, the war for its return began. You said. The fleet cut through the stars like a blade, its hulls gleaming silver beneath distant suns. Marcus Hale stood at the helm of the flagship, every fiber of his being attuned to the faint pulse that guided them. The signal had grown clearer with each passing day, and though none could decipher its full meaning, he felt its pull in his bones. Earth was calling, and he would not ignore it. Dr. Elias Vorn leaned over a console, eyes hollow from sleepless nights spent decoding fragments of the transmission. His mind, once so orderly, had become consumed by obsession. The cadence is deliberate, he murmured, his fingers tracing invisible patterns in the air. 3 pulses, pause, 3 pulses again. A rhythm older than our colonies, older even than our first starships. It's not just a beacon. It's an invitation. Admiral Tyron Cross remained unmoved, his arms crossed over his chest like armor. His voice was gravel, carved from decades of command. Or its bait. A lure cast into the void, waiting for us to take it. Aliens would relish the chance to slaughter humanity's fleet in one stroke. His gaze shifted to Marcus, sharp as a blade. You gamble our survival on a phantom. Marcus met his eyes with unflinching resolve. If Earth lives, we must find it. If it's lost, then we must at least know. Humanity cannot endure on fragments of memory. We are more than colonies and fleets. We are one people, and Earth is the heart of us. The tension between them thickened with every passing hour. Marcus sought hope. Elias craved understanding. Tyron demanded survival. 3 men, bound by duty yet divided by belief, carried the weight of an entire species across the Gulf of Stars. Their journey was not unchallenged. At the edge of the Persian frontier, the fleet stumbled upon a blockade of alien warships, the Zir Dominion, predators cloaked in black steel, their ships shaped like talons poised to strike. A transmission bled into the bridge, the voice a rasp of contempt. Humans, you wander blind without your nest. Return to your colonies, or be scattered to dust. Marcus stood tall, refusing to yield. The stars do not belong to the Dominion. We pass or we fight. Tyron's jaw tightened as he gave orders with cold precision. The ensuing battle was swift and brutal, a clash of plasma fire and burning hulls. Human ships fought with a ferocity that belied their fractured state, and under Tyron's command, the fleet carved a path through the Dominion lines. Yet victory came at cost. 3 cruisers lost, hundreds dead, their screams etched into the silence of space. Elias watched the wreckage drift, his face pale. How many more will we lose before we even reach Sol? And for what? A signal? A hope? His words carried no mockery, only exhaustion. Marcus placed a hand on his shoulder, steady, grounding. For Earth. For who we are. Without it, humanity is a shadow waiting to be erased. As they pressed onward, the fractures among their own kind grew clearer. Colonies they passed were torn by rebellion, their leaders sending desperate pleas for aid or bitter threats of defection. Some hailed Marcus as a savior chasing Earth's light. Others cursed him as a fool chasing ghosts while his people burned. The fleet itself trembled under the weight of doubt, officers whispering in corners, soldiers questioning the worth of sacrifice. Tyron confronted Marcus in private, his voice low but edged with fury. You inspire men with promises you cannot keep. If this signal is nothing, if Earth truly is gone, you will have led them to ruin. I won't let you destroy what remains of us. Marcus's reply was steady, unshaken. And, if I do nothing? Then humanity dies slowly, torn apart piece by piece. Better to burn in pursuit of Earth than fade into dust without it. The words silenced even Tyron, though his silence carried the weight of disapproval. Elias, meanwhile, unearthed fragments of old archives hidden within derelict stations they encountered. Each clue deepened the mystery. Records of ancient warnings, cryptic passages hinting that Earth was shielded, not lost. One phrase repeated across centuries-old transmissions chilled him. The cradle will sleep until the stars are ready to tremble. He brought his findings to Marcus in hushed tones, excitement laced with fear. Earth wasn't taken. It withdrew, shielded by something beyond our science. If that signal is genuine, then it's awakening. Marcus absorbed the words like a man glimpsing dawn after endless night. Tyron, hearing the theory, spat the thought aside. Fairy tales. Technology that can hide a world for 1,000 years? If it exists, it's not ours. Yet none could deny the signal grew stronger, sharper, as though drawing them into its heart. Days bled into weeks, until at last the fleet emerged into a region unlike any other, a void of collapsed stars, where light bent and time itself felt uncertain. Instruments failed, readings twisted into nonsense, and even hardened soldiers whispered of curses. The signal pulsed louder here, echoing through every deck like a heartbeat. Elias stood transfixed at the viewport, voice trembling with revelation. This is it. The veil. Earth lies beyond. The fleet pushed forward, engines straining against a darkness that felt alive. Hulls groaned. Crews prayed. Then, in a sudden blaze of light, the void parted. And there it was. Earth. Whole. Gleaming blue and green, suspended in the abyss as if it had never been gone. Around it shimmered a golden field, vast and radiant, bending space itself. Every man on the bridge fell silent, breath stolen by the sight. Elias wept openly, his body shaking with awe. Tyron's face, hardened by decades of war, cracked with disbelief. Even Marcus, who had dreamed of this moment, felt his knees weaken. Yet the awe did not last. For as Earth revealed itself, alarms screamed across the fleet. Massive distortions rippled through the sector. Alien ships dropping from warp, dozens, then hundreds, drawn by the same beacon. Rivals who had hunted humanity for centuries, now converging like predators, sensing wounded prey. Tyron's voice thundered above the chaos. They've all come for it. Every empire, every vulture. Earth's return is no miracle. It's the spark of a war that will burn the galaxy. Marcus gripped the command rail, eyes fixed on the world that was theirs. He felt the enormity of it settle upon him, heavy as destiny itself. Earth had returned, but its return would not heal. it would shatter. The fleet braced as the stars filled with enemies, and the war for humanity's heart began anew. You said. Earth's return was not gentle. It was a wound torn open in the galaxy's fabric. The blue-green sphere floated within a golden lattice of energy, serene and terrible, while warships from across the stars converged in orbit like flies to blood. The human fleet held its formation, outnumbered and outgunned, yet unwilling to retreat. Marcus Hale stood at the helm, his voice a steady anchor against the storm. Earth is ours. No alien hand will claim it. His declaration rang through every channel, sparking a fire in soldiers who had long forgotten what it meant to fight for something greater than survival. Admiral Tyron cross-moved with precision, barking orders as though the chaos beyond the viewports were no more than another drill. Form phalanx. Keep the carriers behind the line. Focus fire on their spearheads. His strategies, forged in decades of blood and iron, turned desperation into resistance. Each volley struck with calculated brutality, scattering enemy formations that had expected a broken people. But the enemies were many. The Zir Dominion's claw-shaped cruisers poured fire from one flank, while the crystalline fleets of the Syra Collective shimmered into existence on another. Their motives differed: conquest, vengeance, fear, but their target was the same: Earth. Dr. Elias Vorn remained fixed to his consoles, not on the battle, but on the planet itself. His hands trembled as streams of alien code spilled across the screens. The field around Earth, it's not a shield. It's an interface. Some kind of system waking after centuries of dormancy. The pulses in the signal weren't a call for help. They were instructions. Marcus spared him a glance, his voice taut. Instructions for what? Elias's reply was hushed, almost reverent.
For us.
For humanity. As the battle raged, the golden field surrounding Earth rippled like water disturbed by a stone. Energy surged outward, lashing through space in radiant waves. Enemy ships caught within it crumpled, their systems collapsing under forces beyond comprehension. Entire fleets scattered, not from retreat, but sheer survival. The field did not discriminate. Its touch grazed even human vessels, frying circuits and leaving wreckage adrift. Tyron slammed a fist against the command rail. That thing isn't a shield. It's a weapon. If we stay too close, it'll tear us apart. Elias shook his head furiously, his eyes alight with revelation. No, it's more than a weapon.
It's a test.
Earth wasn't stolen, it was hidden, locked away until we proved worthy of returning to it. And now, with every pulse, it judges us. The words hung heavy. Marcus stared at the planet, at the energy spiraling outward in controlled fury. A weapon, a test, a promise, all entwined in humanity's lost cradle. Then we must endure. If Earth demands strength, we will show it. The human fleet pressed forward, weaving between blasts of alien fire and the unpredictable surges of Earth's awakening field. Soldiers fought with the desperation of men who knew their existence balanced on the edge of annihilation. Each victory carried loss, each sacrifice deepened resolve. Yet something greater stirred within Earth itself. The once still continents flickered with light, vast cities illuminating as though 1,000 years had been but a single night's slumber. Towers gleamed, oceans shimmered, and the very surface hummed with power. But no human walked its soil, no voice answered their calls. Earth was alive, but empty. Elias's voice cracked as he translated fresh data. The people, they're gone. Not dead, not destroyed. Displaced. As if they were moved somewhere else when the planet vanished. But the systems, these defenses, they've been waiting for us. Waiting for descendants to reclaim the world. Marcus's chest tightened at the thought. Humanity's ancestors vanished with their home, leaving behind only the colonies to fend for themselves. Was this return a reunion, or a reckoning? Before he could speak, alarms blared. A coalition of alien warships pierced through the chaos, forming a unified spear aimed directly at Earth. Tyron's eyes narrowed, his voice thunderous. They mean to breach the field itself. If they succeed, they'll plunder whatever lies beneath, and humanity will lose Earth forever. Marcus felt the moment crystallize within him. This was no longer just a battle for survival. It was the fulcrum upon which humanity's future balanced. "Then we stop them," he said, steady as stone. "With everything we have." The fleet surged as one, rallying under his command. Tyrant's tactics turned the chaos into lethal choreography, human ships darting between alien leviathans like blades through armor. The enemy pressed hard, but every inch gained was bought with blood. Elias fed coordinates into the command systems, guiding them with insights pulled from Earth's own pulses. The battle reached a fever pitch as the alien coalition neared the Golden Lattice. Their weapons flared, carving into its surface. The field rippled, but did not fall. Instead, it reacted, unleashing a storm of gravitational distortions that bent space itself. Alien vessels were torn apart, ripped into fragments by the very void they sought to conquer. The display was terrifying and magnificent, and for a moment, even Tyron's iron composure faltered. This is power no empire should wield." Elias whispered the words more like prayer than explanation. "It's not meant for them. It's meant for us. Earth is telling us we are its guardians, its chosen." Marcus felt the truth settle like fire in his veins. Humanity was no longer just one species among many. Earth's return had anointed them with purpose. But purpose came at a price. The golden field pulsed again, stronger, wider, destabilizing nearby star systems. Entire suns flickered as though caught in its grasp. Across the galaxy, fear spread faster than light, alien leaders realizing that humanity's cradle was not merely a world, it was a weapon that could unmake civilizations. On the bridge, silence followed the destruction, broken only by Marcus's steady voice. "The galaxy will come for us with everything it has. They will not allow humanity to rise with Earth at its back." Tyron's grim nod was agreement enough. Elias's eyes, though bright with wonder, held the shadow of dread. Marcus turned toward the viewport, watching the planet that had returned from 1,000 years of absence. "Then let them come. We will show them what it means to be human." In the distance, Earth's heartbeat echoed once more, resonant and relentless, as though the planet itself hungered for the trials yet to come. The galaxy ignited with fire. From every frontier, alien armadas surged toward Sol, driven by fear and fury. Earth's reappearance had shattered the delicate balance of power, and now the stars themselves seemed to convulse under the weight of war. The human fleet, ragged yet unyielding, stood between their reclaimed homeworld and annihilation. Marcus Hale addressed his commanders with calm authority, though the tremor of destiny burned beneath his voice. "This is not merely a defense of Earth. This is a declaration. We are no longer refugees scattered across the stars. We are humanity, united, and we will not bow." His words carried across every vessel, rallying men who had endured centuries of exile. Admiral Tyron Cross stood beside him, his posture iron, his face unreadable. Yet within his eyes flickered the fire of a man who knew the end was near, whether in victory or death. "We'll hold the line," he growled. "But understand this. Against numbers this vast, tactics won't save us. Sacrifice will." Dr. Elias Bourne said nothing at first. He sat transfixed by the golden lattice that still pulsed around Earth, its rhythms echoing through every console. His studies had unveiled fragments of its purpose, and now those fragments crystallized into clarity. "It responds to us," he whispered. "Not to commands, not to weapons, but to intent, to will. If we embrace it, it will fight with us." Marcus seized the thought. "Then we give it our will. Humanity's will." The first wave struck like thunder. Zir war cruisers hurled plasma storms across the void, their talon-shaped hulls blotting out the stars. The human phalanx held, shields glowing under the relentless barrage, while Tyron's strategies turned chaos into killing fields. Every formation was precise, every sacrifice calculated. Destroyers flung themselves into enemy lines to create openings. Carriers released swarms of fighters that burned like embers against the dark. But for every alien vessel destroyed, Two more emerged. The Syra Collective's crystalline warships fractured into thousands of shards, each shard a weapon, each explosion a storm. Their dazzling assault shredded human squadrons, filling the void with the debris of men who had sworn to die for Earth. Tyron barked orders, his voice steady even as ships he had commanded for decades vanished from the maps. Tighten the net. Cut their spearheads before they reach the lattice. His willpower was iron, but his body trembled, knowing they could not endure forever. Elias rose suddenly, his face pale, his voice urgent. The lattice is building to something. It's not just defense, it's preparing an offensive strike, one that could unmake fleets, planets, entire systems. His throat tightened as he met Marcus's gaze. But it requires a human trigger. Someone must give themselves to it, fully. The silence that followed was broken by Tyron's low, deliberate words. Then it'll be me. He turned without hesitation, as if his life had been leading to this moment. I was born for war. Let me end it. Marcus reached for him, fury flashing in his eyes. You don't get to choose alone. This burden is mine. But Tyron's expression softened, for once. No, Marcus. You lead.
They follow you.
If you die, hope dies with you. But me? I've spent my life fighting battles that bought us only more battles. Let me buy you victory. For a moment, Marcus wanted to forbid it. Yet in Tyron's weathered face he saw the truth, a man who had already given everything and who asked only to finish his duty. He clasped Tyron's forearm, their grip fierce with respect. Then go with honor, Admiral. The galaxy will remember. Elias guided him through the lattice's interface, the codes and pulses aligning with his life signs. As Tyron stepped into the chamber, golden light engulfed him, threading through his body, his veins glowing like rivers of fire. His voice thundered across every channel, calm and resolute. For Earth, for humanity, the lattice awakened. A storm of gravitational fury erupted, bending the very fabric of space. Alien fleets shattered like glass under its force, entire armadas torn apart as if they were paper in the hands of a god. Capitals collapsed into implosions, stars flickered, and in an instant, the balance of galactic power was erased. Human vessels held firm within the lattice's embrace, protected by Tyron's sacrifice. His scream echoed once, not of pain but of defiance, and then his presence was gone. The light dimmed, but the devastation remained, a galaxy broken in a single breath. Silence fell over the battlefield. What fleets remained scattered into retreat, unwilling to challenge the fury that had annihilated their strength. Earth hung in the void, its golden lattice subdued but still alive, a sentinel awaiting its guardians. Marcus bowed his head, grief ablaze within him, but his voice carried steady across the fleet. Tyron Cross gave his life, so that we may live. His sacrifice is proof that humanity cannot be broken. We are the heirs of Earth, and today we rise. Men cheered through tears, voices uniting in raw defiance. Elias sat in the shadows of his console, recording every word, every image. His hands shook as he chronicled the tale, for he knew the galaxy would never forget. Yet his heart carried a darker truth. Earth's system still whispered in codes only he could half-translate. They spoke not of peace, but of preparation. The lattice had not unleashed its full power. What had been shown was only the beginning. Elias lifted his eyes to Marcus, who stared out at their reclaimed world with pride and determination. He did not speak the secret aloud, not yet. For if humanity's enemies feared them now, what would they do if they learned that Earth's awakening was incomplete? The fleet regrouped around their home, battered yet unbroken. Across the galaxy, empires licked their wounds and plotted vengeance. Humanity had seized its place at the center of history, but the cost was immeasurable and the future uncertain. Marcus placed a hand against the viewport, the planet reflected in his eyes. The galaxy thinks it fears our weapons, he said softly, but it will come to fear our endurance more. Behind him, Elias finished his record, a final line written with trembling certainty. Earth has returned, and with it, the age of humanity begins. Yet the lattice still beats like a heart that dreams of war. And in the silence of the stars, Earth pulsed once more, its golden rhythm echoing into a galaxy forever changed. You said,